The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
Support for NPR comes from the Skoll Foundation, dedicated to powering social innovators to transform the world. Learn more at skoll.org. And Jarl and Pamela Mohn, focusing on civil liberties, foster youth, public radio, and the arts.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Clee Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, we rock out with wine in a brand new decanter that rocks, literally, as we indulge in the Liquid Jazz Experience decanter for our Wine Thunderdome with its inventor, patent holder, Michael Fors.
And we'll hear one of the coolest musical traditions in the world, in my very humble opinion, as we have Live Music Friday with Tuvan Ensemble Alash.
But first, an incredible breadth of work is on display in Westfield, all done by one Springfield resident.
And you've got a little extra time to go and immerse yourself in that exhibit.
So we shall, and get a tour with the artist himself, Don Blanton.
There's so much work in this room.
There certainly is, and we are at Westfield on weekends. Wow. And it is not the weekend, nor is Westfield on weekends only open on the weekends, as I see from the hours on the door, which is great, because there's so much great work here that you wouldn't want to relegate it to strictly the weekends.
My name is Bob Plass, and I am the co-curator and I'm the president of Westfield on Weekends. I am so in love with this concept of doing community arts, and we've been doing it for 23 years, and it's never gets tiring.
What's exciting is the exhibit that has been here has just been extended.
Oh my God, we extended it until April 12th because everyone that comes in goes, wow, I gotta see this again. Because you
and
can...
wow, not just a shout out to Westfield on weekends.
Oh yeah. I say that every other word, so Monty, you'll hear it throughout the entire day. But I gotta say that everyone who sees this is really bowled over, both by the art, and if Don Blanton, our artist par excellence, is here, he is so personable and willing to talk about the art that you have an experience in a gallery that you may not have had. And you also then get to learn about all the other things that we have here, from art classes to concerts and theater things. And oh my God, there's so much happening here. And we are so thrilled that you guys are here.
Well, we're psyched to be here. And guess what?
Yeah.
Guess who else is here? Don Blanton, the aforementioned artist. Thanks for meeting us here.
Hi, how are you doing? First of all, thank you for your wonderful compliments. In a few minutes, I'll be able to tell you about some of it.
The thing I feel like people should understand about this exhibit is that it's drawings and ink work and paintings and sculpture. Usually you see like a couple of these at the same time in an exhibit, but this has all of them. There's so many mediums.
Oh, and jewelry too.
And jewelry. You do a lot.
Not that I take myself for granted, but this has been a love of mine and a passion of mine from childhood.
Mm-hmm. Where was your childhood? You live in Springfield now, but you didn't grow up here.
Grew up in Richmond, Indiana. From Kentucky to Richmond, Indiana, and I can tell you how much I loved art. Starting probably elementary school or even younger, I was drawing, and a teacher would come over and catch me and tear my drawings up. Then I started drawing on my hand, purposely. Now what are you gonna do?
What brought you to Springfield?
Westover Air Force Base. After Vietnam, Westover was my last base, and I decided just to stay here.
What is it about the community that makes you want to stay here?
I have to honestly say, I think I created a world of my own, because when I first came here, my education in art and everything I loved to do at home in Richmond, compared to what I saw when I came to the schools and had kids here, I felt like I was generations and light years ahead. What I try and make every effort to do is to produce something you've never seen before.
Well, let's go look at some of this stuff so that we will have seen it.
Where are we going to start?
I mean, the sculptures were immediately what I was drawn to, except for that big Tutankhamun mask over there, but I think we'll get to that eventually. This is called Harriet. Tell us about this particular sculpture.
I sculpted this after I lectured at Bay State. And one of the nurses, I don't know if you know Cy Becker or remember
Oh,
Cy
yes.
Becker, but Cy
The
Becker,
legend of television.
Who does
oh,
it?
yeah. 22 was there, and they're recording, and one of the nurses in the audience held her hand up. Just ask me. She says, I heard you can give us a poem just like that. And I said, oh, yeah, to myself, I put my feet to the fire, why don't you?
Uh-huh.
So in Cy's smiling, and I looked at him, and I said, sometimes. Depends on how I feel. And she says, well, have you ever heard of Harriet Tubman? I mean, come on now, who hasn't heard of Harriet Tubman? And when I said a few things to her, this truth was I was composing something. And
Buy
I said,
yourself a little time.
oh, absolutely. And then I said, speaking of Harriet Tubman and the Nobel Peace Prize, I have to tell you something. I have a note in my pocket marked Nobel Peace Prize, and I can't wait to open it to see the look in your eyes. I said, but I can tell you what it states, that she was a brave, brave soul. On that we could count. If we followed her direction, she'd get us all out. I said we had to keep our voices low and keep them down because you knew what would happen if we were found. I said, and now, without further ado, I'll reach in my pocket, read the note, and read the winner to you. Miss Harriet Tubman, Nobel Peace Prize, Nobel Peace Prize.
And this is the interesting thing about Don. When he paints or sculpts, he thinks also in the written word. And so many of the pieces are accompanied by something that Don has written that gets you right in your heart. It's incredible. So this is Harriet.
So it's a sculpture of Harriet, but the poem that you just recited is
Yes.
here too.
But isn't it true when if you put yourself in the place of runaways and she's there to help you, following the North Star, but think about what you feel like when it's daylight. We have to hide and wait until night to continue our journey.
Yeah.
And I put myself in that place as one of the runaways in order to feel the strength, the power, and the stone and to bring it out.
We should go to Auction Block over here because it follows that story perfectly.
And it reminds me a lot of sculptures you see in like West Africa. They're not totems, but you see masks, and like there's a lot of imagery that is really similar to that. But this one is in wood. Harriet's in stone, and you've got a glass sculpture over here. Oh no, it's acrylic, but still like looks very glassy too. So you're mixed mediums where the sculpture is concerned too.
Yes, the auction block. Huh. You have to feel what it must have felt like to be on an auction block. And a lot of the people and the slaves on the auction block, they came from generations of people who were skilled. And now all of a sudden you're on an auction block being sold. And I'll say, going once, going twice, one slave said to the other, I just wish they'd take me as a sacrifice. Another said, you heard the master when he said we bet not cry. Hey, we fetch a better price when we hold it all inside. Huh. Some by few and some by many. But if you can't buy this whole family, please don't buy any. The auction block.
Oh, powerful.
Man, oh man.
And the coolest thing I think about this is that like it's squared, but there's in the corners there's more people coming out. Like there's more people behind there. You have no idea how many people are actually in the sculpture.
Yeah, we call it an auction block, colloquially, I guess, but this piece of wood is also block shaped, but with the faces of human beings all imbued in it, made out of this
And look
glorious
high.
sculpture in wood.
And then look hiding back here. This one's hiding back here.
Yeah.
And the baby's crying.
And these themes are taken throughout the exhibit. You can see, you know it's a Don Blanton because you see the masks. The masks appear. You see long, wonderful arms, these incredible figures that just get your heart. Well, why don't we go over here because this is a sculpt also that we love, and it also, you can see these images, that round, wonderful figure and these arms. Okay, they appear here, and you're going to see this family devotion painting throughout the exhibit, or this image here. So, Don, why don't you tell us about both family devotion and One Last Hug?
So One Last Hug is a sculpture, family devotion is a painting.
Yes.
The important thing about One Last Hug, I was sculpting a larger piece, very similar but larger. And my daughter, who was 14, says to me, Dad, what's that all about? What's going on? I said, that is an adult hugging a child, the way your grandfather, my father, you never met him, should have hugged me. She says, get out of here. She says, what do you mean, should he? I says, he never once, academically, artistically, athletically. I did pretty well, but I never once received a pat on the back or a good job. And she says, you're kidding, because you're so good to people. I says, he taught me by what he didn't do. He taught me what I should do. So that's why I try to treat people in a certain way. So she said, well, what happened? I said, he had a heart attack and he passed away at 52. Out of 11 kids, I was at the side of the house waiting for the ambulance, and I heard him say, I have 2 older brothers, but I didn't hear him say Paul or Charles. I heard him say, where's Donald? So I went back and I looked down at him and he said, I won't be back. And she says, well, I said, no, that was it. And she said, well, why don't you write something? And I said, dear, I'll paint and I can sculpt and I can do this and that, but I'm not going to write anything. I went back to work and it was as if someone tapped me on the back and says, I won't be back. I swear that's what I heard him say. And I was going to work, and I said, that's when I fell to my knees and began to pray. And I said to him, Dad, one hug is all I ask. Make it a good one now, one that would last. I would savor your touch until eternity. Please, Dad, just one hug for me. And he was gone. My daughter broke down crying. You knew what you were going to say. That's not fair. And I knew then by her reaction, crying, and she couldn't stop. I knew that how powerful it is when people understand just what's the meaning, the life of this. Now it's more alive than just looking at it because
Yeah, it gets you right where in your heart. Look at this embrace. I mean, it's a huge embrace, and these arms are larger than life arms.
And huge hands, powerful
And
hands.
it almost looks like an infinity symbol, which is kind of beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Which is taken, if you look at the family devotion, you get that same sort of giant hug when you look at this.
Yeah, arms wrapped around arms.
the hugs I never got.
I'm glad. I'm going to give you one now.
See?
You're going to break us all.
I know.
More at the Don Blanton exhibit at Westfield on weekends with the artist himself and President Bob Plouse as we look at his graphite work and some pieces that are a little different from the others.
After which, we'll have Live Music Friday with Alash and taste through a new way to open your wines up with Michael Fors, who's the creator of the Liquid Jazz Experience.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
We should go over to the celebration of Africa.
We're going to talk about this one at Afro Queen in the corner because this is maybe the piece that is the most different, the most unlike everything else in the room. Mm-hmm. And it's this long, about 5 feet tall by maybe about like 18 inches. Just a woman in a green shirt with a Pan-African colored scarf on her shoulder. But it looks very distinct from everything else that's in this space. Can you talk about this painting a little bit?
Don Blanton on his painting Afro Queen here at WOW, Westfield on Weekends Gallery.
Yes, this particular piece I painted. I have another very similar painting that I painted for Stone Soul Festival, and I donated it to Stone Soul to raffle off to raise money to help them keep the festival going. Mm-hmm. And then I liked the one I painted for them quite a bit, so I painted another to keep for exhibits.
Yes.
And that's why, when you look at it, she's a queen, period. And those eyes will follow you. I don't care where you go.
They can follow me anywhere because they're so soulful. They're just, oh my gosh.
And the jewelry that she's wearing is very evocative.
Look at this. There's the jewel in this painting that goes over there, and you're going to see it time and time again in his painting.
I genuinely mean it. I cannot think of a minute in my life that I didn't think about some form of music and art. A lot of times I can't wait to get out of bed to go back to work. I mean it. I can't, because what happens is I have in my mind something I have to paint or want to paint, and I don't take myself for granted, but I said to Judy, my wife, she says, she can't see well now, but she says, do you ever stop? I says, I can't. I don't know how.
I want you to look at this painting over here, or this graphite. Don, When you look at this, Khalees and Monty, what do you see? What most do you see here?
It's the roots and the people. And then the roots, the people, and then the chains are the things that I notice the most.
Buried but never forgotten.
Yeah.
And if you look down over here on the bottom, that some of the chains are broken, number one. And two, books are down here. And if you really look, there are these tiny people in the background that it's like a universe unto itself. And do you see this bottle?
Yeah, it's in every one of these.
Yeah, there's a
Bottle.
bottle.
Yeah.
What?
So what we're looking at is sort of like a landscape, and then what's underground, and it's people laid in like as if they were in a slave ship, a chattel slave ship with
Yes.
chains all broken up,
Yes.
but inside a bottle that also kind of reminds me of the ship itself.
What made you draw bottles at this time? Because if these are all from the same series, there must have been something that was keeping that in your mind that you had to get it out on paper.
Oh, I have more and more bottled people. In fact, I'm working on one now. I really believe the more I think about it, the more I think about. So why I'm expanding the property. I'm building a nature trail. I think 11 kids in a 3-room shack. I even as a kid, I wanted out of there.
Yeah.
I wanted out, and I think that cramped, people crowded in together.
The cork is at the top in this one, and then as you go down, the cork comes out of
People
it.
escape
you know.
getting out of there. Yeah.
But they're not getting out. They're still.
That one's
There's
trying.
hope of them getting
Yeah.
out.
There's the family from across the way, the family devotion, that right across over there, you'll see it, and it's in the bottle. But always below, there is someone holding up here. But this interesting thing is that there is a man who is now getting out of the bottle. The name of this painting, Don, is what?
Good thing.
Good
that-
thing that chain broke. What chain? Think of the chain. Think of my family. Think of some people think of the chain of staying on welfare. Some people can't help it, but somebody somewhere along the line has to break the chain, break that cycle. And that cycle is whatever we make of it. Some people with drinking, some people with drugs, some people with just the cycle of this or that, would somehow, some way, and if you notice all those people, if you count them, it may be the amount that was in my family as a kid.
Oh, really?
And look at the one at the bottom holding everybody up.
Ah, Thundercat.
Yeah, we're going to check out even more of Don Blanton's work on Monday's show and tell you how you can celebrate the closure of the exhibit and do a whole lot more around Westfield with Bob Plass of Westfield on Weekends and Don Blanton himself. Thanks to the both of them for taking time with us, and go see it this weekend.
Yeah, it's incredible. There's so much work in there. We'll hear the amazing sounds of the Tuvan landscape with the trio Alash for Live Music Friday.
But first, we rock our wine in an innovative new decanter patented by Michael Fors as we indulge in the liquid jazz experience for this week's Wine Thunderdome.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass Amherst School of Public Policy, offering in-person and online graduate programs in public policy and data analytics. Admissions now open at umass.edu/SPP. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar in Hatfield, offering personalized solar energy solutions and ongoing customer care, proudly serving communities throughout the Pioneer Valley. Northeast-solar.com.
We haven't drunk in the building for us in a while.
That's true, and this is a very special Good Friday edition of the Wine Thunderdome.
Good because we're drinking in the building.
Well, it's good because Jesus on Thursday had his last wine, and maybe this will be our last wine. I don't know. Or maybe it'll be the last time we drink wine the way we've been drinking it. Because we were approached by an entrepreneur named Michael Fors, and we can't resist this pitch, because you have created something that is called the Liquid Jazz Decanter Experience.
Yes. Yep. We did that about 4 years ago. I started making my own wine 25 years ago and always had trouble with the second and third bottle. You know, you'd open the first bottle, let it open up to the air and get ready to go. And then people would come over and we'd sip, sip, sip. Then you run out and you go grab another bottle, and you're not going to wait 2 or 3 hours to let it open up and aerate. So I came up with this idea.
And aeration is something we've talked about a lot on the show.
It's one of the reasons that we always go back for a second tasting, because oxygen changes the way that you taste things.
And once air gets in touch with the wine in the bottle, it can cause problems. So that sometimes if air gets in when you don't want it to get in there, it's going to ruin the wine. When you open a bottle of wine, you want a little air to get in there, and it begins to breathe, as we say. But if you really want it to breathe, you can decant it. And so let's explain to our non-visual audience what we are looking at here, Michael.
Okay, well, but the decanter I designed it's not round like your traditional decanters. It's more of a elongated shape, and the bottom has steps in it. And how I came up with the step idea is we like to vacation in Gloucester, Mass, up on the shore. And it's, they have a few sandy beaches, but mostly rocks. Mm-hmm. We stay at the Bass Rocks Inn. I bring my homemade wine. I put it in a plastic container, take a plastic glass, and go sit in the Adirondack chairs across and just watch the ocean. Well, this one day, it was a beautiful day, slack tide, right in between the tides. The lobster boat's pulling the traps and watching. And then all of a sudden, the tide changes, and the ocean starts to roll in, and the waves are splashing on the rocks, and I start to smell the salt air and the seaweed, and I'm like, just that splashing opened up the ocean that quick. Mm-hmm. And that winter, I'm walking with a friend of mine. We live next to the Quinnebog River in Sturbridge, and we're out walking in the winter, and it was really, really cold. The river was frozen, but there was one spot that was about 18 inches wide, 3 feet long, and the water was rolling over the rock, so that's why it didn't freeze. But there was a low-hanging branch, and the mist from that was causing icicles to form. And I said to my friend Johnny, I said, look at that. So I figured a way, how could I figure a way to get that rolling would open up like the ocean did with the splashing? So I came up with this idea with steps in a decanter. We're going to pour the wine in next, and then we're just going to slowly rock it.
So it's like a vase-shaped decanter with steps, glass, ridges at the bottom, but a cradle, a wooden rocking horse style cradle that it fits perfectly in.
Yes, exactly. Can I tell them to go look at my website to see?
Sure. Okay. Let's shameless plug at the beginning.
The website is liquidjazzexperience.com.
Which is the name of my new experimental jazz band.
Oh my God.
It's working. And I have a story of how we got that name too.
I can't
but that'll be a little later.
Yeah.
While we're rocking.
I've got a question about the spout. So decanters often have a place that you're trying to pour from, but this one's got a spout on the side that does not have the ridges. Is that important?
Yes, you could see too on the side, it has a little indentation all the way up. That was part of the reason I got the patent, the steps and this part here, because none of them have that. So that you'll see when we pour the wine into the glass, it just gives it a nice, slow, gentle pour. When you pour out of this wide side, like correct.
Goes all over the place?
All over the place, right. Yeah. It's hard to control, but with this, it's easy to control.
And so you have an actual patent for this?
Yeah, I did. I got a patent.
Nice. That's amazing. I always respect when people go that mile and get a patent on something. It always feels like, you made it! Yes. Yeah, screw you, Wikipedia. Who needs that? I did it the old-fashioned way, like Benjamin Franklin or something like that. So, what is this wine that you're pouring in?
Okay, this is Raffaldini Wines. I did a trade show down in North Carolina, and I needed a wine to pour because I don't have a wine. My wine is just for friends and family. It's just a fun thing. So I went to a few vineyards down there. The first one I went to, the lady was highly insulted that I changed the flavor profile of her wine. Didn't want it to, get out type thing.
Oh.
Yep. So I go to this one, and I had it set up at the table, and their tasting room people tried, and they said, oh my goodness, what a quick, what a change. So this guy walks by, and then he looks at it, and he takes 2 more steps, and he comes back, and he goes, what the heck is that? So I told him, and he just turned and walked away. So I'm like, oh, okay. He comes back, he takes a bottle of wine, he puts it on the table, he said, here, this is the best wine we have here. Do that one next. Mm-hmm. So now I get up and introduce myself and tell him, and he said, yeah, my name is Jay Raffaldini. I own this place. And he said, I think that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So we got to be friendly. We're not friends, friendly. And he had his wine club event, and they called me up, and he said, hey, you want to set up at the event? So I thought there'd be a whole bunch of vendors there where it was just me. And I'm
this thing better work.
Yes, exactly. So we get set up, and the people that are coming doing the tastings, I mean, they're noticing a difference. And many of them said, I can't believe he has you here. I'm like, okay. So will you soften the tannins? And he loves tannins. And then I see T-shirts all over and it says the House of Tannins, Raffaldini Vineyards. And he said, you're softening them and he loves them, number one. And number two, he loves stem glasses. He freaks out when people hold the glass here.
Yeah.
He's all, yelling. He's the New York investment guy. So, he has, and the people in North Carolina love that oh my God.
I'm sure they love your accent too.
Greg. They knew I wasn't a homegrown. So we did the show, and we sold 30 at this show. The people were loving it. And the nicest thing that happened was the winemaker. He was avoiding me. And then towards the end of the show, I think his name was Jeff. I said, Jeff, can you please come? Just let me know how you feel about this. So he comes over, and he tries it, and he said, this is how I want people to drink my wine.
So we're going to try the Liquid Jazz decanter that Michael Fors here has invented, but you can't pour it all into the decanter, because what we really want to do is try it in the decanter and out of the decanter.
Yeah, just getting my clock, because we have figured out that 4 minutes has actually been an excellent time. Ooh, nice. I like hearing it. The average time has been about 4 minutes. Zinfandels take a little less because they're a little bit lighter. Some Pinots a little bit lighter.
I almost bought a Pinotage, which is a notoriously South African, very tight tannic grape, but I felt like I didn't want to. So you're gently rocking it.
Yes.
And you're going to gently rock it for how long? 4 minutes?
Yeah, about 4 minutes.
4 minutes later.
We rocked it, baby.
We did. We rocked it.
I think one thing we should do first, though, is taste it.
No.
Why?
Well, you don't want to get that harsh flavor profile in your mouth first.
Oh. So you're saying taste the decanted one first and taste the other one second?
Yes.
Okay. So this Raffaldini wine that you've got here, Il Falco, which sounds very Italian, is actually from North Carolina. Do you know what grape? Did we say what grapes?
He doesn't. This one he doesn't say what he blends.
Field blend. They like to say with that field blend.
Kind of like cleaning out the fridge.
Yeah. Kitchen sink wine. Some people actually call them that. So
They can be super fun because, who knows what was growing best that year, and they all express themselves differently. It's super cool.
Yeah, what I did bring, which we may or may not end up using because, we have a show to do, is a Bordeaux. And Bordeaux is the classic blending region of the whole world, really. So
also, North Carolina, not particularly known for its wine regions.
Yeah, this may be the first North Carolinian wine I think I've ever had.
Right now the pour, and as you can see in your radio,
here it comes.
Yeah, see how it's so you have that nice, slow, gentle pour.
Yep.
Where
the patented little, almost like a straw inside the decanter that sends it down a fine chute.
And then it is a little awkward from your traditional decanter. So what I do is I'm right-handed. My left hand is at the base, right around the neck, and that's just a pivot point. Mm-hmm. Then my right hand comes underneath, and it just lifts.
So the other thing that's interesting, and I wonder if this is part of your patent, Mike Fors from Sturbridge, just outside the 413 here at the NEPM kitchen, with your Liquid Jazz decanter that you have a patent for, you have these fancy glasses that are also ribbed.
Yes.
For our pleasure.
So, yes. Your wine drinking pleasure.
Is this part of the patent as well?
It is. And actually it is. We're a rock, not a swirl. All right. So our theory was with the rocking, you can open up the wine too. If you don't have the decanter, this will open it up, but it takes a little longer. But this is more of a natural. So what we do is instead of swirl and sniff, you just hold it right under your nose and rock, and then you get the flavor profile right there. And
what are you getting?
Lots of bramble.
Bramble? I'm getting
Dark
like
fruit.
Slate, like a lot of intense minerals.
That is actually a part of the region that they are. They're right at the base of the mountain. It's not, they call them mountains. They're not mountains.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Appalachian Mountains. They're older than the other mountains, which is why they're so tiny, because you get old and you hunch over. You're not as tall as you were before. But they're the same mountains that you find in Norway. Because when we
Pangea.
when we were Pangea, they were all part of the same mountain range.
It's very smooth. You can taste that there are tannins.
Yes,
but they are well incorporated, as wine snobs like to say.
Yeah, and the flavor just envelops your whole mouth. Now, once you practice with these glasses, where when you rock and as you just start to smell and the flavors are going up, then you go right into the sip. So now you've got the flavor in your nose, and then it goes, then into your mouth. So now you get that full flavor profile. This is actually very good. I'm going to get those other glasses so we can do the smell comparison.
Yeah,
too.
I love it.
Sure.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I'm getting almost nothing on the nose out of a regular, like the kind of plastic cup you drink wine in if you go to a concert or a cocktail party.
Oh, yeah, right.
So this is like what many people are going to experience wine in a cup like this.
I mean, I'm getting stuff, but it's like way lighter. Like I wouldn't have pegged the blackberry. I would assume it was like something more like cherry. Like none of the minerally notes that are in the other glass.
I am swirling in the plastic cup, which is helping.
Because
you got it.
You don't have choices.
Yeah,
You do
wine's not do that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I didn't invent aeration.
Right.
You didn't? No.
How did you get a patent then?
I just wanted to quicken the process.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's a professor at WPI, and the equipment they do to measure is way more sophisticated than the wine industry needs. But he did take it in and did try it. He tried it pre-decanting or aerating and post. And after the aeration, he said there were 50 organic compounds that showed up that weren't there prior, and they were all in the taste and aroma field. He said it changed it that much on their equipment.
We need to go do that as an experiment.
that'd be
So
cool.
if you're listening in the 5 college areas and
road call.
we want to go bring some wine to your chemistry lab, we're going to do that. So I'm not lying that I barely can smell it in the plastic cup. And then in the fancy glasses with the ribs, I definitely smell it and all of the things. And it continues to open up even as it's just sitting here in the glass. And I'm sure as it continues to sit in the decanter as well.
There's way more happening in the decanted one, period.
And I think you were correct in saying, don't take any out of the bottle yet, because it is a pretty tannic dominant wine.
Yes.
And now even drinking it in the non-decanted way, I think is influencing my palate, because I remember the very first taste I took out of the decanted one with the soft tenderness. Harder for me to bring that back now that I've had it in the other way.
Yes. We learned that early on, and that was strictly a mistake.
Mike Fors from Sturbridge, who's brought the Liquid Jazz decanter here to the NEPM Studios kitchen. We have a show that airs every night called Jazz a la Mode. People at this station love jazz. We should have got Tom Reaney or Kari and Jiri or anybody.
I was going to say, like, if Kari was a little less stringent about his practices, we would have brought him down here to indulge in this, especially because it's called the Jazz Decanter. And that's a match made for Kari and Jiri.
Yeah, although Peter Sokolowski, another one of the jazz hosts, is also a wine aficionado. Tell us about the name, the Liquid Jazz Experience.
Okay, our son, Anthony, he was a saxophone major at the University of Massachusetts. So we used to have a holiday party. It was more of an open house every Christmas. 25 years ago, when I made my first batch of wine, he came home from college with the sax quartet. So they're set up in the foyer. So as people are coming in and out of the house, they're playing Christmas carols, and it just added such a nice ambiance to the evening. So then they played for about an hour and a half. They took a break, and then they came back. And our son was always marching band and big band. Those were his two things. So you have to play all the notes the way they're written. So they come back and they set up, and all of a sudden his friend Ray's got his snare out there, and Andy's got his rhythm guitar, and so now they're playing songs and they're upbeat and peppy. So my wife and my friend Tony, who taught me how to make wine, go up to them and said, "Anthony, what's this? This is so not you." He said, "Well, in the break we got into the homemade wine." And his friend in the back, Ray, playing the drums, said, "We get into the liquid jazz."
Good thing you didn't play acid jazz.
Yeah, right.
Could have been totally, who knows what kind of crazy creature you would have invented then.
That's my next adventure, right, exactly. I never thought of that one.
This decanter, it's interestingly vase-shaped. It has a little spout. It's got ridges at the bottom and comes in a wooden cradle that you rock for 4 minutes. How hard was it to get a patent for something like this?
Surprisingly, it was pretty easy. I just went online to look for patent attorneys, and there was a gentleman in East Long Meadow. So we met at the Dunkin' Donuts in Wilbraham, and we sat down, and I gave him the whole thing. And he said, "Oh, I've never done anything like this. Let's try it." And for anybody out there who's interested, if you're over 65, it's 40% off. And
Because how long are you going to be able to cash in on that?
correct. And exactly. And the other thing they do is they expedite it.
Because how long you got left before they're going to come back?
Correct. Exactly. That's what they're thinking. And he was saying the office that handles that part, they're just so busy because so many retired people are just like, I have the time and, I've got and it wasn't overly expensive. I was surprised. I think with his fees and everything, it was like $3,000 for the whole thing. I was shocked.
How many of them have you sold since you started 3 years ago? Do you know?
400.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm not unhappy with that.
Well, it's a really inspirational story for somebody who's over 60, who is experiencing the beauty of nature. One of the most wonderful things that learning about wine has taught me is like if I go for a walk in the woods, I pay more attention to the smells and what's around me and the surroundings. And the fact that this design was inspired by Bass Rocks and Gloucester is incredible.
Yes. Pretty much everybody that I talk to have really recognized that part of my journey has been how much nature played a part in this. And here we are. It's fun. The hard part now is unless you taste, they just have to believe you guys.
That's why it's the Liquid Jazz experience.
Correct.
And I'd say in our Thunderdome, you have accomplished this. I am a believer that your maybe it would have worked just as well with another decanter. We don't have a control, but from the bottle to this plastic cup versus your Liquid Jazz experience, retirement project wrinkly rocking chair decanter into the wrinkly wine glass, definitely noticeable difference.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I love entrepreneurial cottage industries like this. They're so much fun. And this one, I will say, no word of a lie, works.
Yeah, it works.
We'll link to the Liquid Jazz experience in the show notes, but be on the lookout for locations around Western Mass where Michael Force is showcasing his really cool decanter.
And now to hear the sounds of the steps with Trio Alash for Live Music Friday.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM. Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. It's Live Music Friday, and with us are the Alash Ensemble. The Alash Ensemble is a trio of master throat singers from Tuva, a tiny republic in the heart of Inner Asia. The ancient art of throat singing developed among the nomadic herdsmen of this region.
Alash remains grounded in this tradition while expanding its musical vocabulary with new ideas from the West. The ensemble is named for the Alash River, which runs through the northwestern region of Tuva. All members of Alash were trained in this traditional Tuvan music since childhood, first learning from their families and later becoming students of master throat singers.
In 1999, as students of Kizil Arts College, they formed a group called Changi Zaya and soon became the resident traditional ensemble on campus. At the same time, they learned about Western music, practiced on hybrid Tuvan European instruments, and listened to new trends coming out of America. The ensemble and its individual members have consistently won top honors in throat singing competitions.
And this Sunday, April 5th, they return to Northampton to perform at the Iron Horse at 7 p.m. We welcome for Live Music Friday the Alash Ensemble. Let's hear a song. The Alash Ensemble playing at the Iron Horse in Northampton on Sunday. So amazing.
It is the coolest thing every time I get to see it.
It sounds magical. It feels magical. It's wonderful. Can you each tell us your name?
Ryan Aldi.
My name is Pavel Doruju.
My name is Ayan.
And tell us about the instrument that you have there. What's that called? We have a translator here. Yes. What's your name, sir?
Hi, I'm Sean. I'm Alash's tour manager, front of house engineer, and interpreter today. And that's Adosh Palur.
Adosh Palur.
Cool.
It's shaped like a rectangle.
With a horse head.
A horse head. Is that a horse head on there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost like a cigar box banjo.
Yeah, recalls that for a lot of people.
Yeah. There are 4 different types of throat singing. Can someone talk about the different types? Because I know we are hearing Katagiri, but like I don't remember the other 3 types. If somebody could elucidate.
Yeah, so, we categorize 3 different main types, and then there's subtypes inside of there. It's kind of a tricky thing because it's a little bit subjective. So some people will tell you there's 5, and some people tell you there's only 2. But when you're looking at the 3 sort of main types, you have what you heard in the first song were hume and sagut, which is you can put hume kind of in the middle, and sagut is that really distinctive high whistling type of sound that you get, which of course it's hard to convey on the radio, but when you see it in person, your instant reaction is, how is that sound emanating from a human being? So,
because it's 2 sounds coming out at the same time from a human being. So with 3 of them in the studio, it might, and you're just listening without seeing them, it's hard to know. But if one of them were to do it at themselves, you would see it's 2 notes at the same time, exactly. A drone and then that high whistle that changes pitch.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's a really beautiful thing. It's just the nature of sound, and the Tuvan people have learned to manipulate it in such a beautiful way.
Is the language that you're translating from Tuvan? What language is it?
Yeah, we're speaking Tuvan. Tuvan is the language of the Tuvan people. Tuva is a part of the Russian Federation, so everyone speaks Russian as an official state language, but the native language of the Tuvan people is Tuvan, which is actually a Turkic language, so it's related to languages like Turkish and Kazakh and Kyrgyz.
Interesting.
So cool. Can you talk about your hip-hop collaboration?
Yeah, that's really, it was everybody, but Badi Dorju here in the middle was at the forefront of that. We've, for a long time, played with a beatboxer named Shodake from Baltimore, and he brought us into the kind of wider spoken word, jazz, hip-hop, sort of R&B community down there in Baltimore. So we've gotten to do some really cool collaborations. Badi and Shodake actually produced an album called Embodiments that really kind of takes things out of the box for everybody involved. So, we had a wonderful MC, Ease Jackson, on there. We had a great piano player, Wendell Patrick, hip-hop producer. He's the first hip-hop professor in the entire United States, and he was on our, teaches hip-hop at Peabody. And then we recently, last year, actually, Shodake couldn't make a show, so we got to do a show with the legendary godfather of beatboxing, Rahzel himself, founding member of The Roots. We did a couple shows with them last year. So yeah, that's the Embodiments album. It's on our website. You can check that out. And really, Joyce Scott, who's a living, I think she was recognized as a living treasure of African American culture. And she does some spoken word and some singing on the album. So it's really cool. A lot of really cool stuff going on.
Awesome.
You've also had a collaboration with Bela Fleck, performing live or recorded as well?
Both, yeah. We just we recorded almost 20 years ago with them.
So I was wondering, because many people who like bluegrass may have heard this style of singing if they're not familiar with it on its own from Bela Fleck. So that
or seen the movie Genghis Blues.
Or
Genghis Blues, right?
And all that stuff happened in the 90s. Our mentor, whom you mentioned in the intro, Kongaro Landar, he recorded on a DVD live at the Quick, Bela Fleck. And so when we were first starting, a lot of people had heard about Tuvan music from our teacher's collaboration with Bela. When we started touring, Bela found out that we were here in the States and asked us to come down to Nashville and record on their holiday album called Jingle All the Way. So we went down there, we recorded, we had a great time. We toured with them for about 3 years, over 3 holiday seasons. And then, just this last year, we were actually able to get the band back together, and everybody got back on the bus, and we did another tour with Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. So, yeah, that's been a long-standing and just a wonderful thing for everybody. We've all learned a lot from each other.
I feel like this is the 3rd time's the charm, because you've been in the area 3 times since we've had this show, and each time I've tried desperately to get you to come into our studio, and this is the time that it manages to work out. But what's it like? What is like for them playing here? Like, what is the area's reception like for them and their music.
Yeah, we really like playing out here. The people always come out. Got a really wonderful, diverse cross section of people that come out for the shows. We've since our earliest days of touring have done shows out in this area. We love the people at the Iron Horse. People always come out really well. So yeah, we're expecting another enthusiastic response for our show this week.
Is Tuva considered part of what or near Siberia?
Yeah, Tuva's so saying Siberia is kind of like saying the Midwest.
Yeah.
You know, it's a geographical region, and Tuva is the southern edge of Siberia. So you go south from Tuva, then you've gone across the border into Mongolia, and you're into the steppes. You're into the Gobi Desert and stuff like that. And you go north, and you're in the boreal forest and stuff like that. So Tuva's southern Siberia.
Do you prefer the weather? This is to the band, not that they're a translator. Do you prefer the weather at home in Tuva, Siberia, over Massachusetts, or which weather do you like best?
Yeah, we like Siberia.
Not cold enough for you here?
No, it's nice here. It's okay. We just like home better.
Who doesn't, right?
It's probably the pollen. It's the pollen. I appreciate that. I also just like the pollen.
Well, let's hear another song for Live Music Friday here from Alash playing the Iron Horse in Northampton on Sunday. I love how they end like that. That's so cool.
I have one last question. So your name comes from the Alash River, and you have songs about the Alash River. What's inspiring about the river to make you make songs about it?
So it's just our music is really connected to nature. The roots of our music are in nature, and nature is reflected in our music. When you look at some of the different styles of throat singing, there's styles that imitate the sound of water. So these natural features are super important for us as musicians and as Tuvans. And Alash River is just it's a very big, important, and loud river in Tuva. So, we feel that that's really, a great source of inspiration.
So
We have a musical friend who's incorporated the overtone singing into his rootsy, bluesy music, and he's from the Connecticut River Valley. So I'm going to see if he'll change his name from Suitcase Junket to Connecticut, or something like that. Yeah.
I feel like he's just asking to be sued.
Yeah, no, don't do it. Don't call yourself Connecticut. Alash is playing at the Iron Horse on Sunday and have been playing here for us for Live Music Friday. Thank you so much for coming in, everyone.
Oh, what a pleasure and what a privilege. Thank you so much.
The Iron Horse has just announced a low ticket alert for Alash's concert this Sunday, and we cannot put into words how much more awesome this music is live as your body experiences it.
Well, and you get to hear those overtones in person, like that. The recordings don't always capture when you hear it in a room. It's different.
Yeah, it is.
It just
indeed.
hits different.
That's why live music is awesome.
Exactly. Next week on the show, we'll hear about the upcoming Festival of Languages at UMass.
And about the legacy of the Massachusetts Review for National Poetry Month.
We'll talk with composers Kate Soper and John Aylward about their works being premiered with Ensemble Telemaque at Bombix.
A chat with conductor Kendrick Armstrong about Springfield Symphony Orchestra's Gloria program.
Masamba Diop and Tony Vaca in Westfield and Sean Lewis Trishka for Live Music Friday, and some things that we promise are not music.
But we can't promise that we might not have some more extra live music that we didn't mention.
There's probably going to be some more live music.
Have a great weekend. I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Khalees Smith. If you Easter, happy Easter. And if you don't, Hag Sameach.